So my idea for this video came about when I saw this image the other day and I was like, what? And it got me thinking that a lot of people don't really know about the UKCA conformance and guidance, and a lot of people on the flip side do know about it and think that they can try and just get around it with labels like this, and it's just, unfortunately, is not how it works. So I thought that I would put together a video that is loosely explaining, and I want to make that very clear. This is not a complete guidance to the UKCA with your crochet toys, but it is a loose guide for you to get an idea of what is expected of you if you are selling your crochet toys in the UK, and give you the basis so that you can go ahead, do your own research and go from there. So once again, this is not a complete guide, just an overall basis so that you know that it exists, you're aware of it, and you can make your decisions as to whether you are going to continue in your journey of selling crochet plush toys within the UK. So the UKCA mark applies to plush toys, any kind of toys being marketed within Great Britain, and it's been in place since January of 2021. And while it can apply to many different products, we are looking specifically today at crochet toys or amigurumi. So in the Great Britain market, the crochet toys must have the UKCA label or CE label, depending on where you're selling it to and what kind of product it is. In general, crochet toys, they need the UKCA mark at least. The product must have a label with the UKCA mark in, and it must be affixed to the product. This label must be clear, legible, easy to access, or if the product is too small to affix to the product itself, there must be documentation accompanying the product when you sell it to say that it is UKCA tested. However, you can't just buy these labels online and whack them on your item and sell it. You must do the testing first for it to warrant a label, and this is what this video is going to be about. We're going to be chatting about how you go about doing this testing. So first of all, you need to assess whether your product requires the testing in the first place. How will your product be perceived by a child? Will a child perceive your item as a toy, or is it something that you can kind of justify and back up as to why you believe it isn't? So I've got a few examples here. So this here, beautiful. It's affixed into the wooden box, and you would hang it on the wall. Therefore, the chances of a child accessing it, being able to get to it and perceive it as a toy or try and use it as a toy are minimal. So you could get away with saying that this product is not a toy aimed for children. On the flip side, this little bumblebee house, I see this pattern a lot actually. This is a toy. It's designed so that the hive, the little bees go into the little slots on the hive and the child can play around with it. That is 100% a toy. You can't really, in my opinion, that is a toy, and a child will perceive that as a toy. Some other examples, we have this aquarium in the jar. Especially if you sealed the lid shut, you glued that up so it cannot be opened by a child, you could get away with saying that this is a display piece. And again, for these rabbits, they are affixed onto a solid wooden base and then they are in the frame. So once again, you can say this isn't a toy. However, this duck, look how cute it is. And as an adult, you see that as a cute little toy. So a child is going to perceive it the same way too and is going to want to play with it. So it is kind of just using a bit of common sense and thinking about how the child will see the toy. Ultimately, all of these tests are to protect children. So you need to see whether your product is going to be seen as something that a child wants to play with. Key rings are where it gets a bit because some keyrings can be perceived as a toy, some keyrings you can justify that they're not a toy. So I have two examples here. So this first one with the mushrooms, they're plushy mushrooms. They look like a toy, even though they're on the keyring. The keyring itself, like the actual design of the keyring, looks like a toy. This one with the bow doesn't necessarily look like a toy. Therefore, you could pull up your justifications as to why you believe it is just a keyring and it isn't a toy. But either way, any item that's being sold really needs to have some kind of standard of testing. It just depends whether you need the UKCA testing on top. And if you are selling keyrings, the keyring itself, like the metal bit, that needs to be assessed too, as to whether it is uncoated stainless steel or you can use a plastic keyring. If you're using any other kind of keyring, yeah, it ain't gonna pass the test. So now you've made your decision and you think, right, my item could be perceived as a toy. You need to start your testing. But before you start the testing, you need to make sure that your raw materials are compliant. This includes your yarn, your fabric, your stuffing, the safety eyes, all of that. You can't just buy run-of-the-mill safety eyes off Temu. You need to buy specific safety eyes that meet the safety requirements for the UKCA. There's a fabulous Facebook group. I'm going to put a picture of it here, and it's called, I can't remember the full name without looking at it, CE and UKCA marked Soft Toy Support Network. And this group is brilliant. I joined this group when I first started crocheting, and we'll kind of talk later about my sort of thoughts about it all. But anyway, I've joined this group. I've been in it for a couple of years now, and it is a great base for you to decide whether it's something you want to do and you want to continue on with in your crochet journey. They have albums full of all the compliant yarns. People contact companies and find out whether their yarns are compliant, if they can provide the certificates. Any question that you have regarding your items as you're going along the testing process, you could post in there, you could search up, see if anybody else has had the same issue. It really is a great source for information. So I will also, even though I've had the picture up, I will also link a link to the group in the description box. So you've decided that you're going to make a toy. You've got all the compliant yarns, or you've eyed up your compliant products. You've made the item. Now you need to test it. And unfortunately, it ain't going to be pretty. You're going to need to make more than one. So the next thing you need to do is buy the conformance pack. This retails for £45. I will link it down below, the website that sells it. This basically tells you everything that you need to do to make your product compliant. You then also need to buy other items. You need clamps, ribbons, lighters, weights, a lot of stuff. So initially the cost can be a lot. I think it's estimated at around £200 before you've even made anything. This is just to do your tests, which is a lot of money, and it's something that obviously you need to think about whether you can sustain a business having put that much money into it before you've even made a product and sold it. So the range of the tests, it all depends on the size of the product, what additional things you have on the product. So say if you have safety eyes, you're obviously going to need to test those. If you have like extra bits that are sewn on, you might need to do, like, it's called the credit card test, where you need to see whether anything's going to fit down, like your sewing is grip tight, or whether it's going to just rip straight off. If you've got additional pieces hanging off, you need to test those. On the flip side, if you have, say you have like the same base and you just alter it, so say you have like a base for a cow, a base for a giraffe, and a base for an elephant, you can use the same base as the test, and then you just test the additional like adjustments. So you would test like the trunk of the elephant, the horns of the cow, the little bubbly things, and what are they called on a giraffe? Those, you test those. So in a way, some of it's quite easy because if you were to use just that same base, you'd be okay. In another way, it is a lot. It is a lot. Everything that you do for this conformance must be recorded in your technical file. You have to keep all photos, all evidence, everything, even your failed tests, and then what you did to rectify the failed tests. All of it must be kept in your technical file for 10 years. And then once you've kind of done all your tests and you're happy with it and you're like, yep, I'm confident in this, it's passed everything, you need to add a serial number to identify each item in your inventory, and then also affix the UKCA label, which should also have all of the information of your business so that people can contact you if something happens with the product, if it goes wrong. Hopefully not. Now, if you decide to go ahead and sell without doing the testing, which obviously a lot of people do, you can face some really severe repercussions. You can be fined by your local trading standards authority. In the UK and Wales, it is an unlimited fine. In Scotland, it's £10,000. And accompanying this fine, you could face up to 6 months in prison. So it's pretty serious. And when you think about it, like I said earlier, this is all to protect children. Everything you are doing in these tests are what is the worst that a child could do to this product. They're going to poke their fingers into it, they're going to rip it, play tug of war, they might be able to set fire to it, which is why you need to do fire tests. You need to make sure that that yarn isn't just going to go poof and burn the child. All these things, it's all to protect the child. And if something goes wrong and you do not have that technical file, you don't have anything to back up why you believed you should be able to sell this item, and something terrible happens to that child as a result of playing with your toy, that's the repercussions for it. Now, obviously, I've done a very condensed down version. As I said earlier, it's not everything. It's just for you to be aware that it exists and to then go ahead and do your own research and see the performance pack and all that kind of stuff. It's very overwhelming. You can send your products off to be tested by a third party. However, this is very, very expensive. And if you have an inventory of like 10 different plushies that you want to sell, you need to have all 10 tested by this other company. It's a lot. So it's kind of only really worth it if you're making a lot of money from selling the items. Otherwise, it's just not a smart business move, really. So, as a conclusion, I will just quickly chat about my thoughts and my experiences, and simply, I don't sell plushies. For me, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of money that I can't justify for myself to like invest into that. And some people, they do, like obviously they already have like quite a good customer base and things like that. I, at the moment where I'm at, I don't. My plushies I make as gifts to family and friends. I don't charge anything, and it's just how it is. But I'm happy to, because I quite enjoy making them. Do you know what I mean? And it gives me a chance to try out new patterns. But it is frustrating, especially when you see like American crocheters especially, and they make all these plushies and they have their markets and all that kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, really wish that I could do that, but unfortunately at the moment it's just not viable. And I feel like for a lot of people it probably isn't, and that's probably why people risk it and they sell things that haven't been tested. But honestly, the repercussions, if you get reported, or trading standards, they send people around markets and stuff undercover and they'll ask questions, they spot that you're not selling compliant products, it could go very, very wrong. I mean, I can't afford an unlimited fine, excuse me. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But obviously other people, they could justify it, or they have such a passion for the amigurumi that like just like that's their business, so they've got no choice but to do the tests. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, did you know about this? What do you think about it? Have you done any of the tests? Because I mean, at some point I would love for my crochet journey to be at a point where I could justify doing that and then start selling plushies, but at the moment it's just not in the cards for me. But yeah, I'd like to know like your experiences, if you've tried it. Is it frustrating? Because I feel like it would be very, very frustrating and disheartening as well if it didn't pass the test and you spent all that time. But yeah, let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me, please hit that subscribe button. That'll be nice. We're one away from 400, which is just insane. 400 people. That's a lot of people. Yeah, anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.